What's going on, guys? R9 here, and as you can see, we're doing another build. So the story behind this build, where I got the price point from, was a guy I follow on Twitter. I think his name is Roasted Channel or something like that. I think his first name's like Cody. And he came to me a couple weeks ago and asked me, or well, he didn't come to me. He tweeted out and said that he needed help with a PC build. So I tweeted at him. I was like, "Hey, I do PC builds. I've built all my friends' PCs and family and coworkers, all that. I'm good at building PCs, and I can tell you what components to buy." He's like, "Okay, sweet." So I asked him, "What is your price range?" And he said $1,000. So we have a $1,000 limit on this. I don't know if it's really a limit. We could probably go over by 20 bucks or so, but it is under $1,000. Right now it is sitting at, I think, $968 after a $10 mail-in rebate and shipping and everything. So $968. So we are lacking about $30. So it is well under $1,000 by about $30, like I said. And let's go ahead and jump right into this build. So first off, we have the CPU. It is the AMD FX 8350. It's the Black Edition, 4.0 gigahertz, 4.2 gigahertz turbo. 125 watt CPU. It's very, very fast. 8 cores. It'll render everything super fast. It'll play all the games that you want. It does everything that you need to. It's actually the CPU I recommended to Thundershot. It's the one he has in his PC now. I believe he enjoys this CPU. It's twice as fast as his last one, I believe. And he renders out his DBZ content very quickly. So no complaints about this. If I was to upgrade my CPU, it would be to this one. I have the FX 6350 or 6300, and it is fine for what I do. I don't really need to render and play at the same time, so I just use it to rendering or play, and it does everything I need to. But if I was to upgrade, I would go to this one. It's at a good price, cheaper than the Intel competitor for what it is. So this is a very efficient CPU for the price. Next, we have the motherboard. It is the MSI 970 Gaming Edition. It's black and red. It goes with the color scheme. I figured that with $1,000 you should have a color scheme in mind, kind of. Like the $500 one, you just went with the best components that you could get to be under $500 and still play every game that you want to. But the $1,000 one, I wanted to have more of a more of a plan, I guess you could say. So all the components will match. It'll look good. You'll have a window on the case so you can see all your components. It'll it's a modular power supply that I got with it, so it'll look clean. And this is probably one of the best looking motherboards, and it's cheap, and it does everything that you will need it to. You can SLI on it. It'll hold up to 32 gigs of RAM. It'll hold fast RAM too, like 2133 overclocked, and it's got heat sinks on it, so it'll run cooler. Like your motherboard won't get hot if you're doing like intense gaming or live streaming and recording at the same time, stuff like that. And it has every port that you'll ever need. I believe it has 10 USB ports, and I don't think anyone could ever use that many. Like, you got a keyboard, mouse, microphone, hop hog. Like, there's not 10 things that I even have connected to mine, and I have way too many things to count. So yeah, it is a very good motherboard, and it looks good. Next, we are going to the graphics card. I went with the MSI GTX 970 Gaming Edition. It's a 4GB graphics card. It is the exact same graphics card I have, except for mine is black and green. It comes with Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for free. There's a $10 mail-in rebate. It'll run every game you could ever think of at whatever settings. It will play games in 4K. It records in 4K. You get Shadow Play with it, and that's what I'm using to record this video right now, is Shadow Play. It records your desktop, and it does really well. You can even live stream from Shadow Play. If I'm live streaming streaming, it is from Shadowplay. It is from this graphics card. It is very, very efficient for the money compared to the 980. I believe for the price, this is better. The 980 will run things faster, but not for the $200 extra price. Like, it doesn't really even out. You could spend that $200 on something else and be gaming just as well as you would with this one. And it runs very efficient on power. You don't really need more than a 500 watt power supply if you're not running extra components like extra components like a SSD or anything. If you're not running anything extra in your PC, you could get by with a 500 watt power supply, but this is a little more intricate build, so I went with a bigger power supply, obviously. But this is going to run every game you could think of, and you can stream from it, so it does very well. Next, we have the RAM, I believe. It is the HyperX Fury Red series, 8 gigs of RAM. Could have went with 16 here. Don't really think you need it. Not yet, anyway. You can always upgrade. There's 4 RAM slots on the motherboard. You could just buy an extra stick of RAM and throw it in there and have 12. Or you could buy another $62 kit and have 16. But as of right now, 8 gigs is fine. You don't really need more than that. It'll match your motherboard. I believe it has the black behind the red too. Yeah, it's got the black behind the red instead of the green. So it'll match it, black and red. And it's 1866. You can overclock it to 2133. It'll be fast RAM, and it'll do everything you need. You'll render out really fast and play games and do all the cool stuff. So yeah, next we have the power supply, which is a fully modular power supply, and that means that you only plug in the wires that you need. The benefit of that is not having as much clutter in your case. You won't have a bunch of unneeded wires that you'll have to tuck away. So you'll have a better looking case. With the side window on the case, you'll be able to not see as many wires, and it'll look better. And with the gold certified 80 plus, it will run very efficient. You'll be able to SLI if you want in the future, so you can run 2 970s. It's a very quiet power supply. The fan doesn't run super loud or anything, and it is the modular. That's the coolest thing about it, is modular, and it's very efficient. So that's the power supply. Nothing really to say about a power supply. It gives you all the power you need, and it doesn't have as many wires. Alright, so we're moving on to the hard drive here. It is just the 1 terabyte Western Digital Blue, $55 for a terabyte of storage. You throw your games on it, anything you need just to keep everything. Nothing too crazy there, but don't put your operating system on it. Obviously, you'll put that on the SSD, which is right down here. And that is the Kingston SSD Now V300. It's pretty quick. It's 120 gigs, throw your operating system and your favorite game on it. It'll boot up really fast, and it's only $53. Nothing really to say about an SSD. It's quick. Look at the specifications here. Max read and write 450, and that's faster than the than this here. The hard drive and the SSD is going to be quicker, so just an SSD thrown in there. Any higher end PC is going to want an SSD to boot things up faster, and it goes with the red and black scheme we're going with. I don't really know if red and black's good for him. He can change colors around if he wants, but for this build I went with red and black. And the case is very subjective to what you want. You can go with any case you want. This is just the one that I would recommend. It has fan controls, 5 fans installed already. It's red and black. It's got a top mount hard drive bay, so if you have a hard drive that you move from a different computer or whatever that has gameplay on it, or if you want to record gameplay on this PC and then move it to a different computer to render out while you're still playing, or whatever the whatever you want to do with it. It has a top mount hard drive bay, and it has a USB 3.0 on the top and a 2.0, I believe, and your audio on the top and the reset switch and all that. Just has everything you need. It's got the fan controller, so if you want to run silent, there's a silent mode on the graphics card and on this case, so your fans will run quiet if you're trying to live stream and not make any noise. But yeah, it's very efficient, and let's go look at the pricing. So with everything set up, it says $970.92, $732 for the shipping. $10 mail-in rebate would make it $968.24. You can add a stick of RAM if you want to make it $1,000, but for under $1,000, this is the best build you can get. It all matches. It goes with a color scheme. You could change up the color scheme if you want. Just look for different colors of the same products or whatever. They're going to be about the same price. And I will have the links in the description for Newegg and Amazon. If it's cheaper on Amazon, just buy it there. Newegg is just where I default to for PC parts. Amazon always has them, sometimes cheaper. So look at all the links in the description, and that's about it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like. Later.